Good evening, and welcome, yes, to Monday Motivation. It's been a while. It feels like it's been a very long time, but I'm very glad to be back with you again. Yes, we're speaking about the thin line between the three S's: selfishness, selflessness, and self-love. Let me start off by asking you a few questions. When was the last time that you slept and rested? When was the last time that you treated yourself out, maybe to a massage, to lunch, to coffee or tea, or to your favorite thing? When was the last time that you've had time to yourself, to listen to your thoughts, to meditate a little bit and to reflect a bit on life? Do you feel constantly overwhelmed? Do you have some degree of resentment perhaps in your life, a degree of bitterness in your life? All of these things are actually linked. I want you to think of it this way. It is important to take care of yourself, to take care of your body. So self-love and self-care are very closely related. Self-love is about the attitude that you have towards yourself. Do you feel that you're somebody that is worthy of great things, worthy of love, worthy of being taken care of, worthy of being heard, your voice being heard, your pain being seen, yourself being seen? So self-love is the self-perception. It is the mindset that you have about yourself. And on the other hand, self-care is how you take care of yourself. How do you take care of a couple of things? The first one is, how do you take care of your body? How do you take care of your mind? How do you take care of your psychology? Or we can say these days, the popular term is, how do you take care of your mental health? And also, how do you take care of yourself? For those of us that are believers, spiritually speaking, there are actions that you need to take to make sure that you care for yourself, because of you have a particular attitude about yourself, which unfortunately most people don't know how to do. And the reason why they don't know how to do is because of these other two that we're going to be talking about. And I want us to think about it in three different ways. So if you've got a piece of paper in front of you, maybe you've got even your cell phone, you can actually draw three columns. You can have self-love, can have self-care, selflessness, and then on the last one you may have selfishness. And the reason why I feel it's important for us to make this distinction is because these days, with the evolution of language, sometimes people confuse selfishness with self-care. And I'm going to be solving the mystery for us tonight. And hopefully by the time that we're done, you're going to have some clear tools on how that works. Starting with self-love, I've already explained that self-love is about the inner self. It is about how do you appreciate, how do you nurture yourself, how do you ensure that you create or you live a life that enables you to grow, to learn from your mistakes, to be able to show up as the best version of yourself in whatever you do, to be able to show up for the people that you care about the best way possible. And when you are applying yourself in many areas that demand your skills, your talents, your presence, that you show up as the best version of yourself. That is what self-love is about. And you cannot say that you love yourself without taking care of yourself. What are you putting into your body? What are you subjecting your body to on a daily basis? If you're sleeping 3 hours every day, is that taking care of your body? What does that do eventually to your brain? Because it has been proven that people that sleep short hours also put such a tremendous amount of strain on their brain development that it may even contribute to Alzheimer's and all sorts of things much later on in life. But anyway, I'm not an expert in that field, so I'm not going to go on about it. But it is something worth looking into. Do you have, in terms of your diet, does it take into consideration the well-being of your brain health? So do you find yourself that you're forgetful? Do you find that you have difficulty concentrating? All of that can have a great deal to do with how you care or don't care for yourself. Going on to selflessness. Now I want you to think about selflessness as a way of looking after or being mindful or considerate to others. Selflessness has got that altruistic element to it, where you suspend anything that has to do with your gain, your well-being, even in certain cases, but you consider other people. You consider about what they need. You consider your own role in ensuring that they are healthy, they're taken care of, they're tended to, their needs are met. Selflessness, you can see it in professions, for example, like being a doctor, being a nurse. You can see it a lot in non-profit organizations where people are giving their resources to take care of other people. Mothers can tend to be quite selfless. Even fathers can also tend to be quite selfless. As a matter of fact, the whole parenting experience itself requires for you to be selfless in many, many instances, because when you're raising children, of course, children don't know how to take care of themselves. They don't know what they don't know. They don't have the abilities that they don't have. And it may mean long hours for you taking care of them, long hours standing up and cooking for them, preparing for them. And that requires a degree of selflessness. And so selflessness is about others. We are, as a society, we do very well when we've got people who are wealthy, who are highly educated, who are highly knowledgeable, when they care for other people and they share from their abundance. And so for any society to be able to succeed, there is a need for that selflessness. However, selflessness can have certain negative effects on you as a human being. And part of it is that you may run out of capacity. You may suffer something that is called compassion fatigue, which is basically where you are fatigued. You no longer have the emotional energy to care for people. You don't have the mental will to take care of people. It's almost as if your love has been depleted. And the funny thing is that you may still be loving and caring for people, but you might find that your physical energy is depleted. And that's because of selflessness is driven again by altruistic reasons and doesn't always necessarily have a way of measuring whether or not you are now operating at full capacity and you no longer have the ability. And then the last one, of course, is that of selfishness. Selfishness, on the other hand, is about self-gain. And the main difference between selfishness and self-care is that self-care is about protecting yourself from suffering sometimes the effects of selflessness. On the other hand, selfishness has everything to do with your own personal gain, and often it is at the expense of other people. Selfishness has no regard for reciprocity, so it doesn't care whether or not how much it takes from other people. People who are selfish, they will take your last 10 rand even though they've got 1,000 rand. They will take the last bit of time that you've got left, that you have left, and not care about what you are neglecting, what you're losing out in the process, and not even feel the need to be grateful or even think about returning the favor in the future. It's always about what they can get from other people, regardless of the impact. And of course, ultimately, this puts a strain on relationships that they have with their loved ones. Also in business, people start to avoid them. They start to put a massive amount of burden on operational requirements in any work environment because they never care about how what they're taking from other people impacts them. There's not a healthy degree of accountability. And these days, because of so many people are going through exploitation, especially as we enter into this era of selfishness, where everything is about self, that I'm just important simply because I exist. It doesn't matter whether I contribute or not, just value me, but without me even giving any kind of value. Now, it is true that all of us as human beings, we have intrinsic worth, that we are worthy of love, we're worthy of care, we're worthy of protection, we're worthy of receiving the basic needs in the world, we're worthy of not being beaten, not being oppressed, not being lied to. We're worthy of being treated with respect as human beings. But it is also true that in the marketplace, there is a way that we measure your value, which is about your contribution. So the difference between your worth and your value is about your contribution from your talents, from your skills, from your effort, and also we look at the quality of outcome when you are contributing. On the other hand, your worth, it is about your intrinsic worth as a human being. It is about the value that God has given to you, that no man, no woman, and nothing in the world can take that away from you. And so, a lot of times, people will confuse selfishness with self-care and say, it's time now for me to be selfish. I need to now be selfish. What they actually mean to say is that, you know what? I have given so much of my value, of my contribution for free for so long. I'm exhausted. I'm not getting anything in return. Nobody appreciates what I'm doing. I'm starting to feel resentful because I'm realizing that the more that I give, the less I get back in return. And then you're thinking, because of you have this selflessness mindset, where you place a great degree of value in your ability to care and to look after people, there's almost a sense of, I feel like I'm betraying myself. And that is why then we use the negative term and we're saying, oh, it's time for me now to be selfish. Please understand that when you need to take a rest, when you need to take care of your body, when you need to take care of your mind, take care of your psychology or your mental health, that is not selfish. It is something that you need to do in this high pressure environment where there's so much demand on us. There's so much demand on our time, on our resources, on our capital. There's so many things that are vying for our attention, whether it be the little devices in the palm of our hands, whether it be the television screens, whether it be the board, whether it be the radio in the car. There's so many things that are coming at us, and it is important, it is crucial to take some time to take care of yourself. Take care of your mind. What are you doing to take care of your mind? Do you meditate? Do you take time outs? Do you sleep enough? Do you exercise? What does your diet look like? What kind of relationships, moving away from the physical, let's talk about relationships and taking care of yourself. What kind of relationships do you have? Do you have people who only take and take and take from you but never give anything in return? When you're not feeling well, are there people who will give you a call or who will come to you and tend to your frail health at the time? If you need to be assisted and to be helped, whether it be financially, whether it be materially, whether it be physically, are there people around you that you can lean on to take care of you? See, it is so important to take stock of who is around you because it is part of your self-love. If you're only surrounded by people that only want to take and take away from you, that never care about whether or not they are exploiting you, whether they're putting burden on you, whether they're inconveniencing you, and as a matter of fact, the moment that you're trying to set up some boundaries, they try to say things like, you're being selfish, you're being uncaring, you're being considerate, and then they try to use emotional blackmail to manipulate you to get from you, what they would never give back to you in return. You need to take care, you need to take stock of that and start minding those type of relationships. That is not selfishness, that is self-love. That is self-care. It becomes a selfish factor where your actions start to bring harm on other people. Let's say, for example, if you are a parent and then you're feeling like you need to take a break from parenting a child that is 6 months old or that is 2 years old that cannot take care of themselves. Unless you can provide an alternative or someone to take care of your child, that can be regarded as something that is, for example, selfish. Or let's say, for example, you've made certain commitments to a group of people, to a company, to a particular relationship that you're going to come through in this particular way, that you're going to contribute this much, that you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then you don't care about informing them, let's say when you're not able to do that, or you just deciding, you know what, I don't want to get it done anyway, I'm not going to do it. And then you're telling them the very last minute and they don't even have time to make any changes and not even any time to make any backup. That can be seen as selfish if it is not an emergency, if it is not something that you can be able to avoid. And it's quite a tricky thing to talk about because language these days is so mixed up. And that is why it is important for us to make the distinction. So let's summarize it again, starting with self-love and self-care. Self-love is the perception, a healthy, positive perception that you have about yourself. It helps you to build your self-esteem. It is about understanding that you have worth, intrinsic worth, and you too deserve great things in life. Self-care is taking care of yourself so that you can be able to show up for yourself in the best way possible and for those you care about. Selflessness, on the other hand, is about taking care of other people because of your empathy, because of you have an altruistic mindset towards others. It is about laying your life down for others, but you need to be careful so that it doesn't completely destroy you and they have resentment later in the future. And then lastly, selfishness. It's about no care for others, and you are the number one priority, even at the expense of other people. Hopefully what you've learned or what you've heard tonight has helped you to sort out your thinking a little bit around these three things, and hopefully have you received some tools that can help you to have a healthy perception of who you are. My name is Jabu Zwane. Thank you so much for this evening. I hope you've learned something. Enjoy the rest of your programming. Good evening.